Welcome, Federica. More on that a little bit later. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Perhaps we can just take a quick look at the answers to the questions we posed about how well our audience knows space. So the first question was, how many countries have satellites in orbit around the Earth? The options were 13, 43, or 83. And the answer is, in fact, 83. So nearly 20% of our respondents and our audience got that question right. This is great. Our second question, people from how many different countries have been on board the International Space Station? The options are 19, 59, or 99. And the answer is 99. Isn't this interesting? The majority of us believe that the option, that the answer was 19. It's changing constantly. I'll let it settle before we settle on a final, 19 seemed to be the most popular answer. And our final question, how many of the 8 planets in our solar system have our spacecraft visited? How many have they flown by? The options were 2, 5, and 8. And the answer is 8. So how did our audience do on this last question? Not bad at all. Now it's your turn to ask the questions. And all you need to do is go to the Q&A icon on your screen, type in your questions. Please state which country or organization you're from, so we're able to recognize you, and we'll do our best to cover everything that is raised today. But before we start gathering the questions and as they come in, I would just like to pass the floor to Khaled, if you don't mind, Khaled, to explain a little bit where we are with the Expo Business Program, perhaps more broadly, and then where we are on space, and if there's any call to action for the international participants. Over to you.
Sure, thank you. It's a pleasure to be speaking to everyone today, and thank you for joining us. As you remember, in IPM a couple of months ago, we talked about the business forums that Shabano mentioned as part of the thematic weeks, and we have been getting a quite interesting number of expressions of interest from a lot of our countries and the partners. A couple of them on the space thematic weeks that Shabano mentioned, and we hope that we can get the momentum rolling and get more of the expressions. So for countries that are really focusing on the business sector and the participation, we hope to get your expressions at the soonest convenience, so we can start planning for these business forums. We also talked about some products that we'll be launching during the Expo period, one of them being the B2B app. And we promised that by November, we'll be ready to start creating profiles for the countries and partners. However, we are now ready 4 weeks before that deadline, and your country managers have already gotten in touch with you to start to point out who from your team do you want to be trained to start designing those profiles for visitors to be able to see and connect with you once the app is launched on the app stores in January 2021, so in a few months. We have around 70 of the countries that have come back to us. However, we are still waiting for the remaining to identify those people to start designing these profiles, and we will be conducting over the next 4 weeks training sessions to help you in developing your profiles. So please come back to us at your soonest convenience to go forward. And also we talked about the country briefings that are an optional platform during your national days for you to leverage the presence of the high dignitaries that are coming during your national day, whether it's from the government or the private sector, and use it as an investment or trade forum to showcase opportunities and connect with the business community that's going to be visiting Expo during that time period. So please let us know, come back to your country managers as well to let us know if you are interested in utilizing this option during your national day, so we can start planning as soon as possible as well. And last but not least, we talked about the business calendar, where everything business related and business tagged is going to be filtered out for all business visitors. For the viewers on this webinar, I urge you to go to Expo 2020 website, visit the business page and register so you can get updates on when the app is going live, when the business forums are open for registration closer to the event, and get more information on the business front from even countries participating in Expo 2020.
Thank you, Khalid. And beyond going to the website, is there any other way that that the audience viewing can get in touch with you or your team specifically on any one of those initiatives or programs or products that you just described?
Definitely. We have an open door policy here in Expo. We have the office hours. Most of the countries know, and the country representatives know me personally, so please feel free to contact me. And if you don't have my contact details, I'm sure your country manager or even the specialist programming team will connect you to the right people in the organization to answer your questions.
Great. Thank you so much. I think we have our first question from the audience. So I'm sending that up to put on the screen that you'll be able to see above the panelists. The question is, we are interested in participating in Space Week during Expo. Is it still possible to do so? And what is required from us? Shabanu, would you like to take that first question?
Sure, Nadia. Thank you for the question. Yes, absolutely. Please, we'd be thrilled for you to express your interest and let us know what exactly you'd like to participate in during Space Week. And we're looking forward to hearing from you. I'd like to refer you to the information pack that Nadia mentioned again. We will be having this available for download on our website as well in the coming weeks. At the moment, it's available to all of you on the participant portal, and your country managers have circulated this far and wide. On page 7 of that pack specifically, you'll be able to see exactly how you can plug in, whether that's through co-curation or participation, which could entail you proposing a speaker or a case study. And between page 15 and 16, you have a full list of the events that will take place during Space Week at Expo in October 2021. Going back to the presentation that we just went through, all those events and their a description on those events is available there. Many of you have already subscribed to those events, and we look forward to hearing back from the rest of you.
That's great, Shabanu. And for those of our audience who haven't seen the pack, when will that be publicly available? So will it be available on our website in terms of just being able to review it and read through it?
Before the 15th of October of this month, inshallah, the pack will be available for public viewing on the Expo website.
Great. Thank you, Shabanu. Another question has come in, which should be appearing on your screens. How can commercial partners get involved with the specialist program? Abby.
Sure. Thanks, Nadia. So we're very excited to integrate our commercial partners across all of the events in the 6-month specialist program. So I can give you a little bit of a status update on how that process is working. I am liaising with all the different streams of our specialist program, including the business program that Khalid just mentioned, the Women's Pavilion team, Expo Live, World Modulus, and I'm preparing for each commercial partner a bespoke proposal that essentially pulls together a menu of options where all of our teams at Expo feel that those commercial partners can add value. And so I'm sending those proposals across to the key operational point person on each of the commercial partner delegations. And this process actually started in early September and will run through early November. So if I haven't reached out to you already, you'll be hearing from me very soon. And the objective, once you receive that proposal, is to sort of initiate an iterative process where we go back and forth on this slate of programs. We decide what the final slate looks like. And then our goal really by the end of Q4 2020 is to lock down exact speakers and content for all the different partners on the full complement of specialist program events. So yeah, and then of course, you're always welcome to reach out to me with any questions at any time. So thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much, Abby. If we have any other questions from the commercial partners, we'd be really interested to field them now and really secure more interest on the space program. So please notify us and and send your questions through. There should be another question which has come in, specifically on the Women's Pavilion. Can we partner with the Women's Pavilion? There's no specific audience name or country attached to this question. So I think, Hind, if I could pass the floor to you to give us a broader understanding and explanation of how one can partner with you.
Thanks, Nadia. It's great to hear a question like that, and great to know that there is interest in the Women's Pavilion. The Women's Pavilion by Expo 2020 in collaboration with Cartier is under the theme of New Perspectives. The main message that we aim to deliver to our visitors and beyond is that when women thrive, all of humanity thrives. So we are pursuing that repositioning of the conversation. In terms of partnering with the Women's Pavilion, we will have a convening space where we will host a series of discussions on women in sustainable development across all our thematic weeks. We're also looking towards hosting a series of discussions on women in Arabia, women in Islam, to celebrate those change makers who have emerged from this part of the world, from the Muslim world, something we're very proud of. To really answer the question in a practical manner, I think that the best way for you to partner with us is to think about co-curating a conversation with us. We are happy to open up our space to you. So reach out to the Women's Pavilion team through your country managers, and we will be happy to give you more details on how to best do that.
Thank you, Hind. And for those in the audience who don't have country managers and who are perhaps just interested in understanding more about the Women's Pavilion and your program, is there a special way that they can get in touch with you?
Sure. We have a generic email, wp@expo2020.ae. So it's really easy. It's the Women's Pavilion at Expo, WP. At expo2020.ae. Reach out to us and we will answer all of your questions. Mainly, you are partnering with us in co-curating a discussion which we would host at the Women's Pavilion.
That's great. Thank you so much, Hind. We have a question in on Expo Live that should also be appearing on the screens shortly. Tell me more about Expo Live and how I can get involved. Again, there's no country or name attached to this question, so a generic question. And Yusuf, could I pass the floor to you?
Sure. Thank you, Nadia. Good morning or good afternoon for those watching in on our panel conversation today. Well, Expo Live is Expo's innovation and partnership program. It's been around for 4 years. And what it is our massive search for innovators and entrepreneurs around the world who are solving a meaningful problem, right? Solving a challenge that is very dear to them, but that contributes to a positive impact in our society or in the environment. And for the past 4 years, we've been searching all over the world and have been able to attract more than 11,000 applications from 176 countries. And from this pool, we have been able to select a group of grantees. So these are startups who have been financially supported by Expo and that now compose this group of innovators that we call the Expo Live Global Innovators, our grantees. And you know, we're extremely happy that we have found them. And what they help us do is help us bring our themes of opportunity, mobility, and sustainability into real, practical, and grassroots examples. And it really shows, it proves that we are now in this day and age, what we really need is to empower folks out there who are solving these meaningful problems, these tough challenges that we face, and give them the platform of a World Expo, right? If they can do it, then we all can do it. And that's the spirit of the Expo Live, leveling the playing field and bringing to life those who many of us have not heard of, but are doing some real change in the world. They're all going to be part and exhibited as part of the Expo Live Pavilion, which is called The Good Place, which I encourage everybody to come and visit and learn more about these 140 innovators that we have selected from numerous countries, and also to be inspired. I think this is the best part of Expo Live, is that it's real, it's human, it's people that look like you and me, but they're out there. They're out there creating the future that we wish to see. So that's the Expo Live, the spirit of the Expo Live program. And we've closed our applications for the time being, as we've been running applications and since 2014. And we're now at a place where we're really putting all that information together, being able to tell that story, and collect all the impact, right? The impact that our financial support has been able to contribute. And but our ambition is that when Expo opens its doors on October 1st of next year, that we will be willing and able to bring in more applications and to listen to those who have solutions, who believe themselves to be the game changers and the change makers that we all want to see more of nowadays. So please do visit Expo Live on our Expo 2020 website. And if you have any particular questions to me and the team, you can send an email to expolive@expo2020.ae, and we'll be happy to speak to you.
Great, thank you, Yusuf. expolive@expo2020.ae. But I think another question has come in for you. And perhaps this is in response to how you talked about the rounds and perhaps how now the rounds are closed. But the question is, how are you reaching more global innovators around the world?
Well, thank you for that question. I would say that first, this was quite a hard thing. We relied a lot on the support that we've had from our participant countries to share the opportunity of Expo Live. And also through the many, incubators and accelerators that exist around the world. But nowadays, the best way that we're able to find our global innovators is to word of mouth, is through our own innovators who are now sitting in 40 different countries and are spreading the message that of this opportunity. So I think we've had a long journey in trying to find the best ways to identify these innovators and to be able to bring them to Dubai and to have them pitch here at Expo in order to secure their funding. But now I think the best way and the way that we believe we grow the most and we find the most relevant innovators are through the connections and the networks that we've built. This 11,000 strong network of folks that have applied to the program and continue to support the program by sharing opportunities, sharing information about Expo, and how Expo Live is the mechanism that finds and that funds. But Expo is really the main event. And Expo is a place where you want to come, you want to showcase. And so we're still very much alive in bringing that opportunity to innovators around the world.
Great, thank you very much, Yusuf. A question has come in about the World Majlis, which should be appearing on the screens shortly. What is the World Majlis and can I be a part of it? I don't know who this is from, but I suppose this could be an innovator, it could be a government representative, any of the above. So Federica, can you give us a sense of how different stakeholders can be part of this platform? What is it, and how can we get involved?
Thank you, Nadia, and hello to everyone joining us from across the world. The World Majlis is the Expo's program for conversation. It's a series of conversations around the major themes at the heart of Expo 2020 that wants to bring to the public and mostly our future visitors as well, the big questions and challenges that we need to address together. And it is designed and built in the spirit of the traditional Emirati Majlis, where people come together to talk about things and topics that matters to families, that matters to the communities. And here we want to bring together different views from across the world and from across different sectors: academia, government, art, public companies, our sponsors, media, but also students and young people that have a view, have an interest, and have a passion in these big themes. The World Majlis, it's multidisciplinary, bringing together these different areas and this discipline and expertise, and it's multi-generational. It's people that normally don't get in the same room and get a chance to meet each other and talk together and explore a topic. Everybody is invited to join, as a participant, but we're also inviting to join countries, we're inviting to join our partners, as well as the UAE stakeholders, governments, universities, to be part of the creation of the World Majlis. We're planning to host 50 of these events during the 6 months of the Expo. We have already hosted over 15 World Majlis since 2017, both in the UAE and in different parts of the world, covering mostly all of the continents. We have, already developed insights that are helping us refine and expand the programs and the questions that we will ask at event time. So in order to be part of this program, we are just asking that you reach out to your country manager if you are not already part of the journey with our team, and we will be delighted to listen to your proposal and start planning together.
That's great. Thank you so much, Dr. Federica. A question has come in with regards to the World Majlis and Space Week. So what do you have planned for Space Week, specifically for the World Majlis?
We certainly have the first one today, which is the first fully online World Majlis. And we will always also have one during Space Week at event time.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, so then another question has come in that asks that we are already planning an event that is very similar to an event I see for Space Week in the IPM pack. Is there any way we can align these events, or can our event become part of the Expo calendar? Shabani, would you like to take this one?
Yes, absolutely. There are options for us to align our events with yours and for yours to become part of our specialist program calendar. So the more information you can provide us and the sooner you can provide it to us, we should be able to have a conversation with you and come back to you with the best way forward. You can reach out to us either through your country managers if you're part of the official Expo participants, or you can write to us on specialistprogram@expo2020.ae. I know we've listed out a lot of email addresses over the course of the last 10-15 minutes. This email address encompasses all of us on this Q&A panel. Again, if you can remember everyone's email addresses, that's great. Please reach out to us. It's also available at the back of the pack, should you have that. And once that becomes available on our website in 2 weeks, otherwise specialist program with a double G, I'm forgetting how to, with a double ME in the end at expo2020.ae is available and accessible to all of us. So reach out to us, please.
Great, thank you, Shabanu, for that answer. There's another question that has come in on women and on gender equality. And specifically, why is Expo looking at the issue of gender equality and women's empowerment in a cross-cutting way, rather than having a dedicated thematic week? And so can I pass the floor to Hind to respond?
Thank you, Nadia. This is an absolutely critical question. I'm happy to answer it. When considering gender equality and women's empowerment the idea of having it as a cross-cutting and mainstreamed issue is actually just as powerful as having it as a standalone. What experience has taught us, the way that we have been looking at the SDGs, when we understand what water issues look like, what climate change looks like, we cannot sufficiently address these issues without integrating a gender lens into each and every single one of them. So it is a wiser approach, in my view, that we have mainstreamed the issue of gender across all of the thematic weeks. This gives us a greater opportunity to address the issue. We have more chances to talk about it. We have more opportunities to convene. We have more opportunities to rally and create impact around some of these issues. But also, this doesn't mean that we are not recognizing gender equality and women's empowerment as a standalone issue in itself. By having the Women's Pavilion at Expo, we are safeguarding our intention to dedicate not only our Expo, but our efforts, our attention, and a calling on our visitors to recognize that this issue does stand on its own right. This is something that is an important issue in itself, if I may say, and an issue that has to be intersectional across everything else.
Thank you so much, Hind. We're getting a real mix of topics coming in through the questions. So the next one is, what efforts is Expo 2020 leading to help revitalize the airline or the aerospace industry? Interesting question, and I'll invite Khalid to share his perspectives.
Sure. As you all know, I mean, with the pandemic, almost everyone has been impacted, whether people, countries, industries, but that has not stopped us. Like alhamdulillah, the Mars mission launched in the midst of the pandemic. We announced the lunar mission in 2024 that will have a rover land on the moon, 100% manufactured in the UAE. And through such stories during the business forum, we're planning to bring solutions to the industry and to the community, not only during crisis but also as we go forward. And I think it's very important that we utilize such platforms and experiences to convey to the business community and to the public.
Okay, thank you for that, Khalid. There's another question that has come in with regards to wanting to know what other international participants, IPs, are doing for the Space Week. So, I mean, I think that sits across a number of different pillars of work that are represented here across the panel. So perhaps I could invite both Khalid and Shafanu to answer that from their respective business and wider programming perspective. Khalid, if I could just pass the floor back to you, and then perhaps Shafanu could add her perspectives on that.
Sure. From an IP's perspective, I mean, we obviously get inputs from the countries to understand what they're going to do when, and that links to the business calendar. And I'm only going to highlight the business part of it, and Shahban can highlight the bigger picture. Is that once the Expo calendar goes live, hopefully very soon, you'll be able on the business page to access the business calendar. That's exactly going to tell you what's going to happen during any specific week or any specific time when the event starts. So again, register on the Expo website on the business page specifically, and once the business calendar is live, you will be notified. Shahbanu, over to you.
Sure, Khaled. We have circulated a note that shows mapping of all our countries, all the IPs against the theme of space. Many of you have received this as part of the invite for this week, and it will also be available on the events page for the thematic week post this. So you will be able to access that if you haven't had a chance to see it yet. And of course, again, if there's any additional information you want, you can reach out to us anytime at specialistprogram@expo2020.ae, and we can guide you in the right direction.
Okay, very good. Thank you both very much for that. And I think there's a specific question that's come in now on the participation in the pre-Expo week. So I think if here we could explain a little bit about what we're doing now and how that links to event time, and how that links actually quite fundamentally in terms of our program design and our development. So Shabanu, back to you for that.
Absolutely. As we've mentioned, we really do want these pre-Expo theme weeks not only to be teasers into what you'll get to see at Expo 2020 in Dubai when we open our doors in October across the multiple theme weeks, but also to be a platform for us to start seeding conversations and to start creating connections amongst each other and amongst yourselves around these core topic areas that we want to champion and use the Expo as a platform really to amplify messages around and create new partnerships around. Going forward, what you'll see more and more is a closer link to events in theme weeks that you have subscribed to and your participation in pre-Expo weeks. So we'd like to very much be able to leverage our pre-Expo weeks to be able to illustrate and reflect what is going to happen once we open doors in 2021 at the Expo. I hope that answers your question.
Thanks, Shabanu. Perhaps Hind could also add to that in terms of the work that she's doing on women and other issues. Hind?
Yes, thank you, Nadia. Of course, what I will provide you with is a much narrower lens because I am just looking at the issue of women. And for example, we have a fantastic panel coming up tomorrow looking at the issue of women in space. When we started putting this panel together, we had found out a lot more about the issue in itself than the scope of the issue got much wider. So tomorrow's discussion, for example, will focus on women's leadership and participation. But from that, we delved into issues such as a gender-responsive space economy. We started looking at the SDGs and space-enabled technologies and how that affects the implementation of the SDGs, and looking into questions of where women can play a role and the access women have to these technologies. But we will not be able to cover all of these issues in tomorrow's panel. So our hope is that tomorrow's panel will be able to give you a little bit of a teaser into the scope of the discussion we're looking at. But during Expo itself, when we do open our doors, our hope is that countries, participants, NOPs, our partners, commercial partners, will be able to work with us so that the issue of women in space can be explored in its entirety.
Thanks so much, Hind. I mean, it also strikes me as relevant to the World Majlis because we have so much interest from the international participants and others in participating. Federica, do you have any inputs that you can share about sort of pre and at how it all links together?
So certainly the thematic weeks are going to be a perfect place for us to hold our World Majlis conversations. These 10, 11 thematic weeks are actually at the heart of our expo, and we will host a World Majlis in each one of them. So the first one is going to be in a little over 1 hour on taking a cosmic view of our planet Earth and what can we draw from the lessons of space. with a real diverse group of participants, and I really hope that you can join us. We're preparing the next World Majlis connected to Biodiversity Week, following then into a World Majlis connected to the week on cities and talking about the future of public spaces, and leading then on towards the end of the year on education. So these are the next one for 2020, and we will continue to plan for the other World Majlis ahead, and hoping that this World Majlis that we're hosting pre-Expo are actually going to inform and enrich our conversation at the event time, making sure that when we tackle those big questions, inviting the visitors to be part of the audience and of the conversation as well, we will really be asking questions that are really topical and relevant to the time. As we know, things are changing so fast, and we hope that the World Majlis will remain a place that really serves the purpose of the Expo, of helping visitors and general public make sense of the future, especially in the areas that are very complex, and where we look at how we understand and tackle the interdependencies in our world, especially areas that are really touched by our Expo themes.
Thanks very much, Dr. Federica. I mean, the World Majlis is a venue for all of our stakeholders, and I noticed on the screen that we have quite a number of folks in the audience who are from our official partners. So I would just like to ask a question, really on behalf of them, to Abby, just to get a sort of her lens on what sort of program do we anticipate from our official partners, or what sort of call to action do we have for them today? Abby.
Sure, thanks, Nadia. That's a great question. We're just so fortunate to have such an all-star group of commercial partners alongside of us for the Expo journey. And so you'll see all of these kinds of different contributions that they're making come to life across our site, all the way from the ground up into the cloud where the data lives. And I think what the specialist program does is it offers a really interesting way for partners to create a different kind of value. And that's really around thought leadership and expertise and commitments to people and planet. Because when you start to peel back the layers of what these partners are doing, it's not just the products and services they're contributing to Expo. I mean, many of these partners are working on food security issues, or they're deeply invested in water security. We've had some great conversations with partners on how they're re-envisioning the world, the COVID world and the post-COVID world, through kind of transforming industries like education and retail. So there are just a lot of ways that these partners can get involved across all of the thematic weeks by bringing, their expertise and thought leadership, really.
Well, that's tremendously important, and you're right. We have such a fabulous sort of group of folks in our Expo family. Unfortunately, our time is up, and so I'm going to have to pass the floor back to our moderator for the day, Anna Oli. But a short sort of call out for next year. This is our pre-Expo series that begins to introduce each one of our theme weeks that we will be hosting at Expo in the run-up to the Expo. So we are hosting these pre-Expo events at the same time, or within the same time frame, as the program will be designed during Expo. And so our Space Week will take place between the 3rd to the 9th of October 2021. And our Expo inquiry, and you've read it several times and you've heard us say it several times, will be how to safely and productively explore new frontiers. And so we really look forward to sharing more with you along our journey, but also welcoming you, working closely with you, participating in your events, and having you co-curate events with Expo at Expo in 1 year's time when we open doors. We have 1 year to go, and so let's take advantage of the time that we've got left and plan a meaningful program together. Thank you to our panel, and thank you to you for watching. Over to you, Anna Oli.
Thank you, Nadia, and thank you to our panel for taking us through all of that and answering so many questions from so many engaged participants. I'd like to now invite a member of the Expo School program to tell us a little bit more about what our million of young visitors can expect to find when they come on site. We will see also a short preview of an exciting animated series starring our Expo mascots. Continue. As they fight in the space station to halt the evil ambitions of a villainous inventor. And then we will welcome on screen our Expo School program Q&A panel, which will answer any queries you might have about how we will engage and inspire the young people at Expo 2020 in Dubai. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Huda Ramadan.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm Huda Ramadan, and I will be introducing you to the Expo School program, our wonderful student journeys, and the resources and activities available to bring space exploration to the school community. The vision of the UAE leadership is that youth should play a key part in Expo 2020. They should have opportunities to observe, learn, and contribute creative ideas and develop innovative solutions for creating a better future for our region and the world. And that's how the Expo School program was developed. So what is the Expo School program? Well, we're a team dedicated to engaging with the school community across the UAE in our journey to Expo 2020 and during the 6 months of the Expo event. We work very closely with international participants and other functional areas to inspire and empower the next generation through fun and immersive learning experiences, with our two main objectives of involving schools in their journey towards Expo 2020 and creating those memorable and inspiring learning experiences during Expo 2020 for students and educators alike. And this is all done through our various initiatives, events, and activities. And by creating those memorable experiences for all students across the UAE and now across the world, we're bringing Expo 2020 into the classrooms. And by bringing the world to their doorstep, students will explore different topics on their journeys at Expo 2020, which include areas such as global citizenship, science and technology, careers of the future, among many others, all with the aim to create meaningful and lasting benefits for our future generations and their educators. And now I'll take you through what these different journeys are. Students will have 4 different journeys or field trips that they can embark on with their schools. These curated journeys are only available through school groups, and each one provides a unique experience depending on the sub-theme. Each journey also has its own mascot or guardian, who protects their pavilion and provides students with a character to connect with when they see them, either on their journeys or interact with them at our events, or even see them in our learning resources and activities throughout the year. So if we start with the Sustainability Planet, which focuses on the sustainability sub-theme, then we have the Universe in Motion, which focuses on the mobility sub-theme of the Expo 2020 site. Then the World of Opportunities focuses on the opportunity sub-theme, and the Legacy of the UAE focuses on the UAE's culture and heritage specifically for students. And each one of these students or field trips has a different entrance with a different tour, all depending on their grade and theme that they will be visiting. Each journey includes 5 main touch points, and these touch points all start with their arrival greeting with their dedicated tour guide. The tour guide meets the class on the bus and ensures all students have an identification wristband. All students will get to visit then an iconic pavilion afterwards, depending on the trip's sub-theme. Students then get to visit either a country pavilion that is self-built or assisted, with all students from primary and older getting to visit at least 1 country pavilion, and students in the high school actually get to visit 2 country pavilions on their trip. And this is to ensure that they experience as much of the Expo site as they can within their time on site. Now, countries are an integral part of these journeys, and we're continuously liaising with international participants team about involving the different countries as part of the student journeys, because students will spend anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes within each country pavilion before going off to have their lunch and then embarking back on their school buses. As you can see here, all 4 journeys are tailored differently for each age group. We start with the foundation and kindergarten students who will be on site for approximately 2.5 hours, and that's from the point of when they arrive on site to their departure back to school. Meanwhile, high school students will be on site for 4 hours, and that's to allow the 2 country pavilion visits that we just discussed. This, of course, now brings us to our main space-related journey, which is the Universe in Motion. It covers space exploration and human progress across the world. The main focus of the Universe in Motion is human progress through physical and digital realms. But what does this actually mean for students? This means that they get to explore and learn about the Emirati Mars mission. The students will get to trace and learn about the movement and progress of people, goods, and ideas within the physical and technological realms. This means that they'll get to venture across time and space to explore dynamic universe, smart machines, and technological links between humanity's past, its present, and its future. And students will also get to reflect on the ways through which people, goods, and ideas move. So what do students actually get to experience on site? Students will all come face to face with history's giants of exploration and discover the future of human progress. They'll get to see the experience of pioneers of the world exploration such as Ibn Battuta and Ahmed bin Majid and Al-Kindi, all to help them understand the movement of people, goods, and ideas over history and into the future. Students will embark on this Universe in Motion journey at the Mobility District within the iconic Mobility Pavilion. And this pavilion will allow students to venture across time and space and explore the UAE's mission to Mars, the Hope probe, and see what it looks like to be an astronaut. However, before we go to the next segment, we'd like to add that we're now bringing in these journeys virtually for schools so that all schools, internationally and locally, can experience the Expo site. Next, we're going to take a look at bringing this journey and experience into the school community across the globe right now with space exploration through our learning resources, which is one of our main initiatives for student engagement, and this is from before and during Expo time. The purpose of the learning resources is to teach the future, to encourage creativity, innovation, and collaboration among students, and get them inspired by new ways of thinking. And of course, it brings the Expo experience into the classroom, and now it even brings it into the home environment, where any parent, teacher, or participant is able to access and download these resources for use with their children, the students, as well as the global school community. And every learning resource is downloadable from our website, and it includes a PowerPoint presentation, a lesson plan to follow, as well as a set of activities that students can use within their classroom or at home. All of our learning resources are actually created for different grades and age groups. So now we're going to take a closer look at two of the main resources which cover space exploration. The first one is our Mars Space City 2117, which is created for the middle school students. And the second one we're going to look at is the Journey to Space, and that's been created for the primary school students. So now let's delve deeper into this first learning resource that I mentioned, which is Mars Space City 2117. And within this lesson, you'll be able to see different topics explored and activities that students can use within the classroom. The topics progress from the very basic ideas to the more complex. So you can see here, we're going to start with the National Space Program for the UAE, where students will learn about the UAE's mission to reach Mars in 2021 and set up the first scientific city on Mars as part of the 2117 Mars program, along with those laboratory experiments for zero gravity that students will get to learn about. Then we cover Mars Science City Dubai, which is a lesson plan that covers the largest space simulation city ever to be built. Students will learn about its design and provide a realistic model of living on the red planet, as well as the various studies that will be conducted within this simulation that has been built. This leads us to the lesson on Hope Mars mission, which will explore the Emirates Mars mission, including the Hope probe that was launched in July 2020. Students will learn about the preparations and launching of this mission, with activities to help support their understanding. And finally, this leads us to the last topic of how could living on another planet help us to live on Earth, where students look at what challenges do we need to overcome to continue living on Earth, and how could living on another planet actually help us solve those challenges here on Earth. As I mentioned earlier, the learning resources also come with activities for the students to engage in. And within this learning resource, we can see activities such as comparing Mars with Earth, where students compare different categories such as the length of the day and year, or the weather, as well as oxygen level differences between Mars and Earth. Our next activity is from Settlement to City, where students can think about what roles are needed to make a city successful and what skill sets might be needed on a completely different planet. Now, we're going to take a look at our next learning resource, which is space exploration, which is Journey to Space. And this one is geared towards the primary level children. This resource goes into topics about the size of the solar system and how it relates to us here on Earth. So if we start with our sample topic from this one, which is how big is our solar system, where this lesson in Activity N1 helps students understand the scale of our solar system and how far we need to travel between planets, how far we need to travel to another livable planet, and how far we can travel beyond the galaxy as well. Another popular topic is how far away is the nearest livable planet, which introduces students to a new planet with many similar features and different features to Earth, called LHS 1140b, which has been found in a completely different galaxy. This brings us to the next topic, which is how big is the Milky Way, which is 1 quintillion kilometers across. That's 18 zeros. I had to look that one up. So within this topic, we introduce students to the Milky Way, and students get to compare the size of the Milky Way to everyday objects so that they can put it into relation to the things that they know. And finally, another activity within this path is the best country in the world in space, which is a lesson in Activity N1 that highlights the UAE's mission to be the best country in the world by 2071, when it turns 100 years old. Students will look at comparing life in a new country on a new planet and what that means to the people of that new country. Now, every journey is actually linked to several international curriculums that cover different grades and cycles. And the purpose of these links is to help teachers plan and seamlessly bring Expo into their classroom. So if we look at the Universe in Motion specifically, and we look at the curriculum links within the Universe in Motion, we can see that across all the different curriculums, whether it's British, American, Indian, IB, but space, the solar system, and space exploration are all common topics. Now, these are all examples of how journeys are linked to international curriculums. And you can actually find all this information on our website, which is www.schools.expo2020dubai.com. And all of the curriculum links and learning resources have been created with the international and UAE school community in mind. And because we've provided links for international curricula, they can be used globally, so that every country and every student right now can access and bring the Expo 2020 into their classrooms. And by bringing Expo 2020 into the school community, students can look back at their experiences with Expo and be inspired and empowered to develop innovative solutions for creating a better future for the world. I'd like to thank you for joining me today. And for all the latest updates about our school's program, you can follow us on our social media channels at Expo 2020 Schools, or visit our websites to access all of the information on our initiatives and our resources that we discussed today. Now, I'd like to share a short video before we proceed with our Q&A panel. The video is an exciting animated series to drive youthful engagement with Expo 2020 Dubai. Its heroes are our Expo mascots, Rashid and Latifa, the watchful gaff tree Salama, and their super robot guardians, Opti, Aleph, and Terra. And together in this episode, they must save a space station and thwart the evil ambitions of a villainous inventor. So please enjoy.
The secrets of Salama and the three guardians have been revealed. Let them complete their mission, and once the secrets are unlocked, only then we'll go and seize them.
Huh?
There's a message from the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center.
The space station?
Hello, Opti. I'm the Emirati astronaut, Sultan Al-Niadi. There's been a malfunction in the laser generator at the space station. This malfunction can only be fixed by someone at Expo. Hello, this is the Emirati astronaut, Hazza Al-Mansouri. The design has been received and printed. On behalf of myself and my colleague Sultan Al-Niadi, thank you Rashid and Latifa, and thank you Dubai Expo.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, students, good afternoon. Thank you all for joining us. And thank you so much, Huda, for your presentation. We hope you all enjoyed it and found it informative. One of the key responsibilities I have at Expo is working on the school program with my team. Through this program, and as you've heard earlier on from Huda, we work on developing inspiring and exciting journey for students. Before we start with our Q&A session, I'd like to say Happy World World's Teachers Day to all teachers who are joining us today and to all of the teachers in the UAE and across the world. We want you to know that we appreciate you and thank you for your continuous dedication to inspiring our children, especially during these difficult times. You are and you continue to be an inspiration to all of us. And with that, I'd like to introduce some of my team members from the Expo School program. Huda Ramadan, who you heard from, Sara Rafi'allah, Maryam Safran, and Kavisha Pancholi. We will now take any of your questions, and we're more than happy to share with you how you can get involved with us, whether you're a school, country, or one of our partners. So let's go on to our first question. The first question is around, what would our virtual school journey look like? That's a great question, and we're getting it a lot from the community, and I'll have Huda address it from the team.
Thank you, Marjan. That's a really good question about the virtual tours. Now, we're currently in the process of planning for them and putting them together. And we're looking for them to put together the most interactive and the wealth of experience for the students, both locally and internationally. So once we have finalized what those virtual tours are actually going to look like and what the content is, then we'll be sharing it with everybody.
Thank you, Huda. And the virtual question is something that we always now receive from the school communities, considering the challenges that we're facing in the past couple of months. And we're very happy to say as the school program that over the past couple of months, we've been able to have a lot of online sessions with not only teachers, but also had summer camps with students and parents, bringing to them our learning resources and inspiring them about the themes on Expo. So let's see what the next question is. The question is coming from a country actually asking us how they could be part of the Expo School program, being a participant country. I'll hand over that question to Sarah.
Thank you, Marjan. That's an excellent question. Now, countries are very important to the Expo School program, especially as we design the different journeys for the school groups. And these countries provide us with a lot of the content in terms of innovations, in terms of cultures, and exciting ideas that each country is coming up with. And all of these country visits are closely linked to the different journeys that we have designed for the school groups. So if you as a country would like to be part of the Expo School program, we would really welcome that. We would love to have you. Please get in touch with your country manager and ensure that you're sharing information around your content, your capacity, and we'll make sure that you're included as part of the school group journeys.
And I'd like to iterate what Sarah is saying and really encourage the participating countries to get in touch with their country managers because it will only enrich those journeys that we have prepared for the students of all ages. So we encourage you to invite us to your pavilions, and specifically around space, we have over 42 pavilions who are talking about it. So we're really excited to get as much students as we can to your pavilions to learn about the exciting programs that you have in your countries. So let's see the next question. The next question is actually one that is around the applicability of the school program to a different age group. So the specific questions are the school journeys appropriate for 5-year-olds? I'll hand over that question to Kavisha.
Thank you, Marjan, for that question. It is a wonderful question. And, we are, as school group, we are representing and welcoming age groups right from kindergarten all the way till high school. We have special curated journeys. So for 5-year-olds, which fall into our KG bracket, we are most with open hearts actually welcoming them. And we have curated their tours. So we're making sure that they're not walking too much because obviously they're young kids and they cannot walk too much. So their journeys are around that. Their timings are shorter just to ensure that they get the Expo experience, but also making sure that we are aware of their limitations. And we also want to complement that journeys and also take that into our virtual platform. So yes, absolutely, we are welcoming KG students, 5-year-olds to the Expo.
Thank you, Kavisha. So we're really addressing all age groups, and with our curriculum links, we hope that it's as inspirational, but also as applicable to what it is that's being taught in the classrooms. So we're going to take another question that's coming from the floor around pre-Expo events. So the question is, are there any upcoming events for schools before the Expo opens their doors? And with that, I'll hand it over to Maryam to address this question.
Thank you so much, Marjan, and that's a very good question. And thank you so much for your interest to be part of our events and workshops and programs that we're hosting. As some of you may know, we're already in contact with a lot of schools, even during the pandemic, and we've been in contact with them virtually. We've done summer camps, we've done teachers' workshops, and recently, only yesterday, we've done our Hayakum session with the school students to celebrate the Expo Week and the 1 year to go to Expo 2020. And in terms of our upcoming events for schools, one of our main upcoming events that's coming up in November is the Expo School Leaders Forum, which is an annual event that invites school leaders from across the UAE to get first-hand updates about Expo 2020 and the Expo School program, and ensure that you are continuously updated and engaged with us. And this will be our first time hosting it virtually, which is something very exciting, and we're looking into how we can expand it to the school communities in the UAE. I really encourage you, if you are interested to be part of our events or workshops or sessions, to go to our website on schools.expo2020dubai.com. Also subscribe to our newsletters, where we share with schools and other members of the school community our updates and our upcoming initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you, Maryam. And I'd like to also add, ever since, we were planning for the Expo, planning for the school program was one of the key items that we were looking at. And therefore, our engagement with the community has begun with the planning for this Expo, because we wanted to make sure we understood what it took in terms of welcoming school students into our site. We understand that it's a responsibility, that it's time away from the classroom. So we wanted to make sure that what we do made sense to the school community. So we spent a lot of time speaking to the school community, listening to the school community, and understanding what it takes to develop an inspirational yet safe journey for our school students. Which brings me to my next question around precautionary measures that we have been taking in this planning to welcome the students in 1 year's time. So I'll hand over the question to Sarah, who will be able to elaborate on how we have been looking into making sure our school journeys are safe for all the students who are coming through our gates.
Thank you, Marjan. Another excellent question, and one that we know that is something that the school community has been asking about. Now, the health and safety of school students that were visiting the Expo has always been Expo 2020's top priority. And given the new circumstances, what we're making sure is, as we plan for the operations of your school journey, right from the moment that you're getting off of your buses, you're going through the different pavilions, you're visiting the different stops until the point that you get back on your buses to leave, we're making sure that we follow all sorts of government guidelines to ensure the health and safety of all visitors, but more so the students and teachers that visit us at the Expo site. So we are making sure to diligently plan for your visits and to ensure that school students are only visiting the Expo if it's absolutely safe for them to do so.
And there has been a lot of integration across the different departments within our operations team to ensure the safety of our students, as Sarah has described. The next question is again related to programming, and it's specifically asking around special programs for teachers. Maryam, the question is, do we have any special programs for teachers, and how can teachers be more involved in the Expo School program?
Thank you, Marjan. That's a very good question, and we work very closely with teachers as Expo School program. We have several programs for teachers pre-event or in the journey towards Expo 2020 Dubai. We host teachers workshops that support teachers in introducing Expo 2020 in their classrooms, as well as support with their professional development. We also have more than 60 learning resources that teachers can use to introduce Expo, and a lot of topics that are relevant to their subjects, to their students in their classrooms. We also host the Expo School Leaders Forum, as I mentioned, for the school leaders and the school communities to participate in and get and be involved with Expo 2020 and get first-hand updates about the Expo. During event time, teachers play an important role in making sure that their students are part of Expo 2020, and this could be through linking their curriculum to our journeys and the experiences at Expo 2020, and also supporting us in making sure that their students are part of the journeys, whether physically or virtually at Expo 2020.
Thank you, Mariam. And we have been speaking to teachers a lot during this journey, and they've been instrumental in developing a lot of the resources that that you've been given a presentation on. We hope that the Expo is as memorable for the teachers as they are for the students, which gets me to my next question. And I have a feeling it's the teacher who asked this question again, and it goes around, how can we book our slot for students during the event? Kavisha, would you like to address that question?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Marjan. And indeed, a very good question. We have been getting this question quite often. So absolutely, you will be able to book your tickets to the Expo. We will be resuming our ticket sales early next year. And with that, you will be able to book your tickets to the Expo site. Again, it will be open to all age groups. And of course, with that, we will have an additional element of virtual journeys as well that you will be able to book. So by early next year, you will be able to book. And there are some questions where people are also, or teachers actually are asking if they can move their bookings that they had currently done. So that will also be happening. We will be in touch with them. And once our ticket sales opens up, we will be in touch with them and help them move their bookings to the new dates. So yes, that will be a possibility.
Thank you, Kavisha. So as always, we'll encourage you to visit our website to see how you can do that and see when we'll take bookings for your classrooms next year. My next question is around students who are not in the UAE. So the question is, can students outside the UAE be part of the school journeys? My direct question would be yes, but I'll have Sarah elaborate further on what that means.
Thank you, Marjan. That's an excellent question as well. Now, we all know that the World Expo is for every single person from around the world. It doesn't matter what age you're from. It doesn't matter which culture you belong to. The World Expo is really for everybody, and it's got something for everyone. So when it comes to the journeys for school students, we've designed our journeys in linked them with over 16 different curricula from across the UAE. And these curricula are quite closely linked to many different countries from around the world. So we can quite easily say that our journeys are very easily applicable to international students as well. And we welcome the international school community to join us within those journeys and to learn and to have lots of fun from the exciting experiences that are designed for the visitors on site as well as virtually.
Yeah, and to Sarah's point, I think in addition to looking forward to inviting and welcoming students from abroad to our site, the virtual journeys will also be one way that we can welcome students from all around the world to the Expo site. My next question is one that we've received is related to the World Majlis, actually. And the question is, would you have a World Majlis session for school students? Maryam, I think you can address that question.
So that's an excellent question. And one of the initiatives that we have for school students is called the Next Gen World Majlis. And the Next Gen World Majlis is a version of the World Majlis that is dedicated for high school students, where they can be part of meaningful dialogues and conversations that are related to Expo 2020 and some of the global challenges that we've been facing. So we've had previous Next Gen World Majlises where we hosted private and public school students, where they shared with us their insights about really interesting topics such as the future of cities, and we get to really see how they think and their outlook for the future. And if you're really interested in involving your students to be part of Next Gen World Majlis, please look out for our website, and also please subscribe to our newsletter, because that's where we share our updates for the upcoming sessions for Next Gen World Majlis and other initiatives we have.
Thank you, Maryam. So we're really excited to have those Next Gen World Majlis. The ones that we've had, that Maryam has mentioned, have really given us insights into how our youth think, and more importantly, it has given us hope in the future, because a lot of our youth are serious about protecting the planet, and also looking at ways at improving humanity. So I believe we've addressed all the questions that have come through. I don't see any further questions coming up, and therefore this marks the end of our Q&A session. Thank you so much for your questions and for watching our session. We're committed more than ever to ensure continuous engagement with you to create meaningful, safe and fun experiences for your students, whether it's physical into our site or virtual. Yourselves and hundreds of educators from more than 16 different curricular backgrounds have been working closely with us over the years to share their feedback and their thoughts and their ideas on developing the school journeys and the program that we've been talking about. One of the key things that World Expos are known for are the legacy that they leave behind. Through the Expo School program, we strive to leave an exceptional legacy for the young people, not only of the UAE, but of the world. And we want to ensure that students are able to truly make the most of this Expo. It's going around the world in a couple of days, and we want them to get the most of it. Hence, all of our initiatives and our journeys are tailored in a way that are fun, exciting, engaging, with the hope to inspire future generations of change makers for the good of the world and the planet. With the wealth of programming and a number of incredible countries showcasing their ideas, 40 of them around space, we hope for the Expo to be truly your classroom coming to life physically and virtually. Thank you again for joining us today. To all countries, school educators, students, and our partners, thank you for supporting us over the past several years. We look forward to continuing to work closely with you to deliver an exceptional event for all our students. If you haven't gotten the chance to ask your question today, please feel free to reach us via our email, schools@expo2020.ae. Once again, you can find all of our updates and our resources through our social media channels and our website, www.schools.expo2020dubai.com. Thank you again, and it was a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you.
Many thanks, Marjan, and the rest of the panelists for such an informative session. We will now take a 30-minute break before starting our World Majlis session. Please stay tuned and we'll be right back.